Discussing this survey by Peterborough MP Paul Bristow about whether there should be tighter restrictions on whether people can set off fireworks. Well, joining me now is Neil Mackay from Mackay's in Cambridge, which sells fireworks all year round. Good morning to you, Neil.
Good morning, Amir.
Thank you very much for joining us. What do you make to these calls then for tougher restrictions on using fireworks, Neil?
Well, it happens every year. There's always a petition on the government website. And in fact, if people were to Google fireworks petition, you can actually see the government's reasoning and their arguments for not doing anything further. They regard the present regulations as being sufficient. And they lay out their very good and well-reasoned arguments as to why, if you were to, for instance, restrict sale of legitimate sale through people like myself, you kind of drive it underground. There is actually, if you look, a situation in certain parts of the world where they've done exactly that. They've sort of banned fireworks. And there's some very, sort of amusing film of fireworks on New Year's Eve in places like Hawaii, where literally the place is alight. It's extraordinary, the volume of supposedly non-obtainable fireworks that are going off. So basically you drive it underground, and people, when things aren't regulated, of course they cut corners, they make things to a price. They make things which are not perhaps as safe. So consequently, I believe the well-rounded arguments that are on the government petition website are sufficient. And it happens every year. I understand the arguments of people with pets and horses, etc. But when people come to me, I do in fact emphasize to people as much as possible that they should be considerate. I personally, when I'm setting off fireworks, I like to go around to my neighbours and put a little note through the door and sort of warn them that there's going to be a bit of a celebration. We kind of keep it quite short. And what have you, and people appreciate that sort of approach.
Yeah, so Neil, is education the key here then? Teaching people to be responsible when buying and setting off fireworks. Is this the key?
I think so. I mean, this year we had a vast number of people coming in for Diwali celebrations. The celebrations of light, and a lot of those people were new to fireworks because traditionally they've been going to organised events. And a lot of people were asking me for advice as to how to set them off safely. They obviously wanted their children to have the fun of fireworks, and they were a bit concerned about safety. So I gave them the benefit of my experience. I have been dealing with these products for the last 15 years, and like to think I know a little bit about it.
Well, you're clearly a bit of an expert on the topic, rightly so, because fireworks themselves are now being designed to be less noisy, isn't that right?
Very much so. In fact, the British Pyrotechnics Association are very much on this case. They are designing lower noise fireworks. In fact, that was there were a big number of people asking about low noise fireworks, especially if you're setting them off in smaller gardens and things like that, where the neighbours are closer and what have you. They're also looking at reducing the amount of plastic in fireworks on rockets and things like that. Obviously, you have no real control over where the rocket finishes up, and depositing plastic rocket cones and things like that is obviously something of concern to them. So they are developing. I was talking only yesterday to the new owners of Kimbolton Fireworks, the world-famous fireworks company that was set up in Cambridgeshire, and they are in the process of developing new products which have less things which will affect the environment.
Well, that's encouraging and good to know that it's going in that direction. Finally, and fundamentally, do you think tougher restrictions would be punishing responsible fireworks users? Because
of the irresponsible actions of a minority. Well, that's often the case, isn't it? I mean, we see it in all aspects of life. There will be people who abuse products, and you do see it occasionally on the television. You in other parts of the world, you see people sort of in these riots using them as almost as a weapon. But I mean, if you read, as I say, the arguments on the government's well-rounded arguments, they lay out exactly that. Basically, if you restrict it, you drive it underground, then you make it even more popular. Neil, thank you so much for joining us this morning. That's Neil Mackay from Mackay's in Cambridge. A very hot topic. Would you like to see tougher restrictions on when fireworks can be used? Do let us know. 08000 85 95 96. That's a free phone number. If you didn't already know, you might be a new listener. Welcome if you are. Give us a call or text us